Good morning. I want to share an important message with you today about funding in Swain County schools. Now, our budget year runs from July 1st through June 30th, and we have just now been able to put together a full budget expectation for this current fiscal year, and it was passed by the board on October the 26th. Some may be asking why we're so late in getting that done. That's because our funding streams come from so many different places, and I'm going to share that with you in just a minute. But we have just now been able to put all of those numbers together with a level of certainty that allows us to kind of be more cautious and probably more accurate than we would have been all the way back in August. Some of that has to do with COVID, some of that has to do with some other pieces as well, but just know that you can find that budget online at the Swain County Schools website. Now let me explain to you one piece very quickly. Swain County Schools budget comes from revenue streams that kind of originate in several different areas. For example, about 51% of our budget, I'm going to shift markers, that one's dying. 51% of our budget comes from state sources, and that includes most of our salaries and things like that. About 6% of our budget comes from federal sources, and that's from Title I and some of the other title programs and from Exceptional Children. About 3% of our budget comes from local sources, and that's coming from our county commissioners. Now, before anybody gets upset about that number being so low, let me explain the reason for that. That's because 80% or more of Swain County land is not taxable. That's because we are impacted by federally controlled or privately controlled masses of land. That includes the Great Smoky Mountains National Park and the Qualla Boundary. What about the others as well? Well, about 19% come from other sources, including something called Impact Aid. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Impact Aid. In a few days, no, let me back that up. Today, some of you are going to be receiving an email about Impact Aid, and we're going to ask for you to give some information in that. Some of that information will include the name, birth date of your son or daughter who's in school, the school they go to, where your residence is, and parent employment information. Now, the reason for that is we have been given the opportunity through the federal government to receive funding for people who perhaps live on federally impacted land, live on Indian lands, live in federal low-income housing, or live with a parent or guardian who works on federal property or perhaps on the boundary. If any of those apply to you, then your filling this form out will help us receive an additional amount of money for Impact Aid. Now, normally we budget somewhere between $2.5 and $3 million from Impact Aid. And from our best estimates right now, this current budget year, we're going to be looking more towards the lower end of that. You're maybe asking why, and that's because we are seeing our enrollment in Swain County decline just a little bit right now, and that's going to impact, pardon the pun, but it's going to impact how much Impact Aid is available for us. So it is critical that you take the time, and if you receive this email, that you fill it out. Who will be receiving the email? If your son or daughter is a remote Plan C student, this will be coming to you by email. Now, if your son or daughter is face-to-face at one of our schools, you will be receiving a paper copy, and probably you already have received a paper copy. Now, if you haven't seen that paper copy, please call the school or ask your son or daughter where is that so that you can fill it out. It is critical that you help us accumulate as much funding in Impact Aid to offset the fact that most of our land can't be taxed. And it hinders our local officials from being able to appropriate the money that is probably available in other places. Now, I know that I didn't fill the rest of this out, but let me help you understand that that probably should be 13%. This should be more like 19% because that's how much is coming from there. And this 13% is coming from some other places as well. And I can help share that with you at another time. I've been talking too long about this. The most important piece for you today is if you receive an email and your son or daughter is a remote student, please fill that email out. It'll come to you from a company called DocuSign so that we can put all of this information together. If your son or daughter are face-to-face and you haven't seen that paper copy, please ask them or call the school so that you can have that information come back to us as soon as possible. That way we can make sure that our budget comes out exactly like we've predicted. Again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call here. We'll answer everything that we can. Follow us on Facebook for additional information or on our other social media. We'll be sending out some more information about this today. Until the next time that we come together, God bless you. Thank you for being part of our family and for helping us. And we're praying for you every day.